The divorce papers were already signed when my husband walked into the ballroom and announced that I was pregnant. I wasn't. The room went silent. His fiancée slapped me, his mother smiled, and my husband, the coldest billionaire in the city, leaned close to my ear and, sexting, whispered, "Don't react. Someone in this room wants you dead." 30 minutes earlier, I had been counting the cash in my wallet. $32. That was all I had left. Then, Adrian Cross offered me $1 million to become his wife for 30 days. Easiest money of my life. I didn't know I was walking into a family war. I didn't know his dead father had left something in my name, and I definitely didn't know the woman who hated me most had been looking for me for 22 years. My name is Nora Bennett, and this is how a fake marriage turned into the biggest inheritance scandal in New York. I met Adrian Cross in a hospital hallway. Not at some fancy restaurant. Not at a charity gala. Not even at one of those ridiculous billionaire parties people like to post online. He was standing beside the vending machine at 2 in the morning, wearing a black suit with blood on his cuff. I was carrying a plastic bag containing my mother's medicine. We nearly crashed into each other. "Sorry," I said. He didn't answer. I glanced at his sleeve. "Are you hurt?" "No, that's someone else's blood." His eyes moved to mine. "Exactly. I should have walked away. Instead I said, you know, most people say thank you when someone asks if they're okay. Most people don't ask me? Then maybe that's your problem." For half a second I saw something almost like amusement. Then a man in a gray coat hurried toward him. "Mr. Cross, the board meeting starts at 8. Adrian nodded. The man looked at me, then he looked away quickly. That was my first clue. People were afraid of Adrian, not impressed. Afraid. I didn't think about him again until the next morning. My mother's doctor called. "We need the payment today." I closed my eyes. "How much?" $18,000, I laughed. It wasn't funny. "I have $32. There was a pause. "I'm sorry." I knew that tone. The tone people used when they had already decided you were hopeless. My mother had been sick. For 3 years I had sold my car, then my jewelry, then my apartment, then almost everything that had belonged to my father. Nothing helped. By noon I was sitting outside the hospital crying quietly when a shadow fell across me. I looked up. Adrian Cross. He sat beside me. "You need money." I wiped my face. "You stalking me now?" "No." "Then how did you know?" "Your mother's medical account is connected to a charity I control." I stared. "That's creepy." "Probably." He handed me a folder. I opened it. My heart nearly stopped. $1 million. "You want me to rob a bank?" "No." "Kidnap someone?" "No." "Kill someone?" "No." "Then what?" "Marry me." I stared at him. Then I laughed. He didn't. "You're serious?" "Yes." "For how long?" 30 days. "Why?" "My grandfather's will." I looked at the folder again. "And what happens after 30 days?" "We divorce." "That's it?" "Yes." I turned the page. "No. Shared finances, no intimacy requirements, no interference with business, no public scandals, no questions about his family. $1 million after 30 days. I looked at him. "This sounds too easy." "It isn't. What am I missing?" He leaned closer. "My family thinks I'm going to marry someone else." "Okay, they've already announced my engagement." "To whom?" "Camille Laurent." I knew the name. Everyone did. Camille was beautiful, wealthy, connected, and the daughter of a European banking dynasty. So why not marry her? Because she doesn't want a marriage? Neither do I. Exactly. I smiled. "You're buying a wife. I'm hiring one." "That's worse. Will you do it?" I looked toward my mother's room, then at the contract. $1 million? Yes. Up front, $200,000 tonight. I signed. I didn't know Adrian Cross had been waiting for me. I didn't know his grandfather's will had mentioned my name. And I certainly didn't know he had chosen me because someone else had spent 22 years trying to erase me. The wedding took place 48 hours later. There were 12 guests, 3 lawyers, 2 security teams, 1 crazed, and 1 furious woman. Camille stood in the back of the room wearing a white dress. Not a wedding dress, Something worse, something elegant enough to make it clear she wanted everyone to know she could have been wearing one. When Adrian said, "I do," she smiled. When I said, "I do," she stopped smiling. Then she walked over. "You have no idea what you've married into." I looked at Adrian. I'm beginning to suspect. Camille leaned close. 30 days won't save you. Then she walked away. Adrian took my hand. Don't listen to her. Why? She likes drama. She looked pretty serious. She is. That wasn't reassuring. The reception was worse. Adrian's mother, Helena Cross, didn't congratulate me. She looked me up and down. "You're younger than I expected." "I'm sorry, don't be." She smiled. "You won't be here long." I smiled back. 30 days. Her smile disappeared. She hadn't expected me to know. That was when I realized something. Adrian hadn't told his family the exact terms. That was going to matter. A lot. That night, I moved into the Cross penthouse. It was enormous. There was a private elevator, a private gym, a private cinema, a kitchen larger than my entire apartment, and a bedroom that looked like a luxury hotel. I stood in the doorway. This is insane. Adrian walked past me. You'll get used to it. I won't. Good. I looked at him. What? You're not supposed to get comfortable, because of the divorce, because of my family. He walked toward his office. I followed. Your mother hates me. Yes. Your ex-fiancé hates me. Yes. Your grandfather wants us married. Yes. Who else should I worry about? He stopped. My uncle. Why? He wants my company. Then why doesn't he just buy you out? Because the company isn't mine. I frowned. What? My grandfather owns the controlling trust, and after he dies. That's complicated. How complicated? Adrian looked at me. If I don't have a wife when the will is executed, my uncle gets everything. I stared. So you're not marrying me because you need a wife? Correct, you need a wife because you need to stop your uncle from taking the company. Correct, and after 30 days? The trust transfers. To you, he shook his head. To us, I laughed. That's not what the contract says, no. Then why did you say us? Because that's the part I didn't tell you. I stared at him. He walked away. I followed. You lied. Yes, you promised no surprises. I promised no surprises in the contract. That is the most annoying sentence I've ever heard. He smiled. Welcome to my family. The next morning I woke up to a headline. Adrian Cross marries unknown woman, hours after secret engagement collapses. Below the headline was my photograph. Someone had leaked everything. My name, my mother's illness, my old address. My father's name, even my school records. Calling me a gold digger. By lunch, someone had created a social media account claiming I had seduced Adrian for money. By dinner my mother's hospital was surrounded by reporters. I slammed my phone down. This is your family? Adrian looked at me. No, then who? I don't know. You're the billionaire. Yes, you have security. Yes, you have lawyers. Yes, then find out. He stared at me. You're angry. I'm furious. Good. Good. You're the first person in years who gets angry at me instead of being afraid of me. I stared. Then his phone rang. He answered. His face changed. What? Pause. Lock down the hospital. He hung up. What happened? Someone tried to enter your mother's room. My blood went cold. Who? They used my family's security credentials. That night, Adrian put a guard outside my mother's room. The guard had been with the Cross family for 15 years. He seemed trustworthy. At 3 in the morning, he disappeared. So did my mother. I woke up to Adrian standing beside my bed. She's gone. I jumped up. What? Your mother? No, we're looking. I ran into the hallway. The elevator doors opened. The security guard stepped out. My mother's wheelchair was empty. He looked at us, then smiled. Too late. Adrian punched him hard. The guard fell. Police arrived minutes later, but my mother was already gone. The only clue was a note left on her bed. Stop digging into the Cross family. I looked at Adrian. I want a divorce. His expression hardened. No, you said 30 days. Not anymore, you can't change the contract. No, then what? He handed me another document, a copy of his grandfather's will. My name was on it. I read it twice. Then again, the line was clear. In the event Adrian Cross marries, Nora Bennett, all disputed assets shall remain frozen until the identity of Nora Bennett's biological inheritance claim is established. I stared. My biological inheritance? Adrian looked at me. That's why someone took your mother. I couldn't speak. My mother had always told me my father left nothing. We were poor. He died when I was 6. We had moved from town to town. She never talked about his family, never showed me photographs, never mentioned relatives. Now the Cross family was telling me I might inherit something. Something big enough to kill for. I looked at Adrian. What did your grandfather know about me? I don't know. You're lying. I swear I'm not. Then let's find out. We began with my father's death. The official report said he had died in a car accident, but the police report had been sealed. Adrian used his connections to get it opened. The photographs showed the car crushed against a tree, my father inside. Except there was something strange. The driver's seat was empty. The body had been found in the passenger seat. Adrian looked at the photograph. He wasn't driving. Then who? The answer came from an old traffic camera. A black sedan had been following him. The license plate belonged to Cross Security. Adrian went silent. That was my family's company. I looked at him. Did your family kill my father? I don't know. Find out. He did. The sedan belonged to his uncle, Richard Cross. We confronted Richard at his country club. He was sitting beside a swimming pool, drinking champagne. He looked at me and laughed. So you're the girl. What girl? The one everyone has been looking for. My stomach tightened. Who is everyone? Richard smiled. You really don't know. Adrian stepped forward. What did you do to her father? Richard laughed. I didn't kill him. Then who? Ask your grandfather. He's dead. Exactly. Richard stood. Dead men are very convenient. He walked away. I turned to Adrian. What does that mean? Before he could answer, Richard's assistant rushed over. Mr. Cross, your uncle has been arrested. We looked at Richard. He was smiling. Then he whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but Adrian did. His face went white. What did he say? Adrian stared at me. He said your mother is not in the hospital. What? She was never kidnapped. I felt dizzy. Then where is she? He looked toward the entrance. A black car had just arrived. The rear door opened. My mother stepped out, alive, walking, without a wheelchair. I ran toward her. Mom, she stopped. She looked at me. And instead of hugging me, she slapped me hard. You married him. I touched my cheek. What? She looked at Adrian. You married a Cross. I couldn't breathe. Mom, they took you. No, then why did you disappear? Because I was trying to save you. From what? She looked at Adrian. From his father. Adrian froze. My father died 22 years ago. No, my mother shook her head. Your father is alive. Silence. Adrian stepped back. That isn't possible. My mother looked at him. You were never told the truth. She turned to me. Neither were you. Then she handed me an old photograph. It showed 2 men. My father, and Adrian's father, standing beside a little girl. Me. But there was another child. A boy. I looked closer. The boy had Adrian's face. Not similar, identical. I looked at Adrian. He was staring at the photograph. That's me. My mother nodded. No, she pointed at the boy. That is your brother. Adrian's expression shattered. My father only had 1 son. That is what he wanted you to believe. I looked at my mother. Who was the boy? She whispered. Daniel. Where is he? My mother closed her eyes. Dead. Adrian looked at her. You're lying. I wish I were. The photograph came the center of everything. Daniel Cross. The forgotten son, the missing heir, the person nobody had mentioned. We searched every record. Nothing. No birth certificate, No school records, no medical files, no death certificate. It was as if he had never existed. Then we found one record, a private hospital, 22 years earlier, a newborn boy. Mother, Helena Cross. Father, Jonathan Cross. Status, transferred where? A psychiatric hospital. We went there. The hospital had been closed for 15 years. The records were stored underground. Adrian found the file. Daniel Cross, age 7, status, deceased. Cause of death, fire, date, the same night my father supposedly died. I looked at my mother. What happened that night? She cried. Your father discovered Daniel was alive. Why was he hidden? Because Daniel wasn't Jonathan's son. Adrian stared. Then whose son was he? My mother looked at me. Your father's. The room went silent. I couldn't breathe. Adrian looked at me. You're saying Daniel was your father's son? Yes. Then he's my half-brother. Yes. I looked at the photograph. And my half-brother. My mother nodded. That night your father tried to take Daniel away. Why? Because Jonathan wanted to kill him. Why? Because Daniel had inherited something. What? My mother whispered, the original Cross fortune. That sounded ridiculous. Until she showed the ledger, a handwritten list of assets. Real estate companies, private funds, offshore trusts, and at the bottom, DNI, ELCR, SSB in the FICCR. The estimated value was $8 billion. I looked at Adrian. So Daniel was worth more alive than dead? Yes, and someone wanted him gone. Yes, who? My mother didn't answer. The door behind us opened. A man walked in. Older, scarred, gray-haired. I recognized his eyes immediately. Adrian stared at him. The man smiled. Hello, son. Adrian stopped breathing. I looked at my mother. She whispered, Jonathan. Adrian's father alive. The man everyone believed had died 22 years ago. Jonathan Cross walked toward us. I've been waiting a long time. Adrian couldn't move. You're dead. Jonathan smiled. That's what your mother wanted you to believe. My mother stepped between them. Stay away from him. Jonathan laughed. You're still protecting them. Who? Jonathan looked at me. Her. My heart dropped. Me? Yes. Why? Because you are the only reason Adrian is still alive. I didn't understand. Jonathan took a folder from his coat. Inside was a DNA report. I looked at it. The first name was mine. The second was Jonathan Cross. Probability of biological relationship, 99.98%. I stared at the paper. Number. Jonathan nodded. You're my daughter. Adrian looked at me. I looked at him. My fake husband, the billionaire heir, the man I had been sleeping beside. And now we had just discovered that his father was my father. The room spun. My mother screamed, don't believe him. Jonathan smiled. Ask her. I looked at my mother. Mom. She couldn't answer. Mom, she finally whispered, I wanted to tell you, when it was safe. Safe? She cried. Your father had another family. I stared. My father? Yes. And Jonathan is my biological father? Yes. Adrian sat down. Neither of us spoke. The contract marriage had suddenly become something impossible. If Jonathan was telling the truth, Adrian and I were related. Was legally valid. But everything else had become a nightmare. I left the hospital that night. I didn't tell Adrian where I was going. I checked into a cheap hotel under a fake name. For the first time in weeks, I was alone. I stared at my wedding ring. Then I took it off. A knock came. The door. I froze. Who? Me, Adrian. I didn't answer. Nora, please. I opened the door. He stood there looking destroyed. I don't know what to believe. Neither do I, but I know one thing. What? I didn't marry you, because of your blood. I looked away. You didn't know. No, exactly. He stepped. Fry, and do. If we're related, we'll deal with it. And if we're not? His eyes met mine. Then I'm not letting anyone take you from me. My heart hurt. Then my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. A woman's voice said, Jonathan is lying. Who are you? You don't have a sister. I frowned. What? The woman continued. You have too. The call ended. I looked at Adrian. What? He stared at my phone. Then another message appeared. A photograph. Two little girls, both looked like me. One had a red ribbon. The other had a blue ribbon. Underneath were 4 words, next week chasing the identity of the 2 girls. One was me, the other was listed as Emily Bennett. No birth certificate, no school record, no death certificate. But there was a hospital bracelet. Emily Bennett, born 12 minutes after me, my mother had given birth to twins. I had a twin sister, and someone had erased her. The mystery became bigger. Every record we uncovered contradicted another. One file said Emily died, another said she was adopted, another said she was transferred overseas, another said she never existed. Found a bank account. Emily Bennett had been receiving money every month for 22 years. The account holder was alive. And the payments came from Cross Meridian Holdings, my family's enemy. We traced the account to a private school in Switzerland. The school had one photograph, a young woman standing beside a piano. She had my face, same eyes, same smile, same scar above her eyebrow. I stared. That is my sister. Adrian looked at the name, Eva Cross. I frowned. Why Cross? The answer came later. Eva wasn't just my sister. She had been raised by Jonathan, and she was now the chief financial officer of Cross Meridian, the company fighting Adrian's empire. She had spent years buying shares, acquiring competitors, destroying his father's reputation, and building enough influence to take control of Cross Industries. I looked at Adrian. Your sister is my sister, he nodded slowly, and she's trying to destroy you. Yes, I laughed. This family is insane. He smiled faintly. Finally, something we agree on. We flew to Switzerland. Eva met us in a private restaurant. She looked exactly like. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she smiled. So, she raised her glass. Which one of us got the better life? I stared. You knew about me, of course. Why didn't you find me? Because you were safer without me. That isn't an answer. It is the only answer that matters. Adrian stood. Why are you attacking my company? Eva laughed. Your company. She looked at me. Ask him who owns it. Adrian frowned. What? Eva leaned back. You think your grandfather built Cross Industries? Yes, he didn't. Then who? Your father. Adrian went still. Eva looked at me. And your father? I stared. What? Our father built it. She tapped the table. The Cross family didn't inherit the empire. They stole it. I looked at Adrian. Eva continued. 22 years ago, our father divided the company between his 3 children. 3. She smiled. You, me, and Daniel. Adrian's face changed. Daniel, yes. Then why was Daniel declared dead? Eva looked at me. Because he wasn't. My heart stopped. What? Daniel is alive. Adrian stood. Where? Eva smiled. Closer than you think. The restaurant door opened. A man walked in. Tall dark hair, a scar along his jaw. Adrian looked at him. I looked at him. Eva whispered, meet your brother. Daniel Cross smiled, and suddenly the entire story changed again. Daniel wasn't dead, he wasn't hidden, he had been watching. For years, he sat beside us. I know what you've been told. Adrian's voice was cold. Then start talking. Daniel looked at me. First you need to know something. What? You were never supposed to marry Adrian. I laughed bitterly. I know. No, he shook his head. You were supposed to marry me. Silence. I stared. What? Daniel pulled out a contract. My signature, his signature, dated 22 years ago. Impossible. I was a child. He smiled. Your father arranged our future before either of us could choose. I pushed the document away. This is insane. Daniel nodded. Yes. Then why show me? Because the contract was never the real plan. What was? Daniel looked at Adrian. To make one of us kill the other. I stared. Daniel continued. Our father created the company with 3 heirs. Adrian, Eva, and me. But our grandfather wanted 1 heir. He looked at me. Your father refused. So the family split. Yes, and you were hidden. Yes. Eva was taken. Yes, and I was left with my mother. Yes. Why? Because you were the easiest one to control. My stomach tightened. Daniel leaned closer. Your father knew you would eventually inherit the fourth trust. The fourth trust. The one nobody has found. I frowned. What fourth trust? Daniel smiled. The one worth 20 billion. Everything went silent. The empire wasn't 4 billion, it was 24 billion. The public company was only the visible part, the real fortune was hidden, and my father had placed it in a trust controlled by one. AB. Condition, all 3 children had to be legally reunited. Not by blood, by choice. Daniel looked at me. That is why everyone wanted you married. I stared at him. Why Adrian? Because if you married him, he would gain access. And if I married you? You would gain access. And Eva? She already has hers. I looked at Adrian. You knew? No. Daniel laughed. That's why they kept you ignorant. Who is they? Daniel's smile disappeared. The person behind everything. Who? He looked toward the window. Your mother. I froze. My mother. Daniel nodded. She wasn't protecting you, she was controlling you. The room went cold. I remembered every lie, every move, every missing record, every warning. My mother had always been there, always. And suddenly every conspiracy led back to her. We returned to New York. My mother was gone. Her apartment was empty. Her phone was disconnected. The only thing left was a handwritten note. Nora, if you're reading this, then they finally told you enough to make you dangerous. Don't trust Adrian, don't trust Daniel. Don't trust Eva, and whatever you do, don't open the red box. I stared at the note. Adrian looked at me. What red box? I don't know. Then Daniel called. The box is under your father's grave. We went there at midnight. The cemetery was empty. Rain poured down. I knelt beside the grave. We dug. Nothing. Then Adrian noticed a metal plate beneath the stone. A hidden compartment opened. Inside was a red box. I reached for it. The moment my fingers touched the lid, my phone rang. My mother's voice. Don't open it. I froze. Where are you? Too late. What does that mean? I tried to protect you. From whom? A pause. From me. The call ended. I looked at Adrian. Then I opened the box. Inside was a video recording. My father appeared on screen. He looked younger. Terrified. Beside him stood my mother, and behind them stood Jonathan Cross. My father spoke. If you're watching this, then your mother failed. My mother began crying. Continued. The person you trust most is the person who destroyed everything. The video cut. A second clip began. This time it showed my mother. She was holding a baby. 2 babies. Twins. Then Jonathan entered. He took one baby. My mother took the other. The video ended. I couldn't breathe. Adrian stared. Which baby was you? I looked at the screen. There was no way to tell. Then Daniel whispered. That's the point. The final file opened automatically. A DNA report appeared. It showed that my mother was not my biological mother. I stared. No. Adrian grabbed the paper. What? I read the name. Biological mother, Helena Cross, Adrian's mother. My world collapsed. I looked at him. He looked at me. Then at the document. If that's true, I couldn't finish. He did. We're not related. My heart slammed against my ribs. The woman who raised me wasn't the woman who hated me was, and the family I'd been fighting wasn't the family I'd been born into. Then another document appeared. Biological father, Jonathan Cross. Biological mother, Helena Cross. I looked at Adrian. Then he nodded. You're my sister. Silence. Everything became worse, but Daniel interrupted. No, we looked at him. He pointed to the DNA report. Look at the date. I did. The sample had been taken before I was born. It wasn't mine. It belonged to someone else. The report had been planted. Again, someone was still controlling. It's a game. Someone who had access to every record, every DNA test, every hospital, every bank account, every person. Then Adrian's phone rang. He answered. His face turned white. It's the police. What happened? They found Helena, your mother. Yes, yes, where? In the old Cross estate, alive. No, I froze. What? He looked at me. She was murdered. The police arrived within 20 minutes. The estate was surrounded. Helena's body was found in the library. No forced entry, no weapon, no fingerprints. On the desk was a single red envelope. My name was written on it. Inside was a photograph, Helena, my father, my mother, and a fourth person, a man whose face had been scratched out, on the back. The fourth child knows everything. Adrian looked at me. Fourth child? Daniel shook his head. We were told there were 3. Eva whispered, there are 4. I stared. Who? She looked at me. You, no. Eva shook her head. Not you. Then the police found the missing photograph. The man's face was restored digitally. It was Richard Cross. Adrian's uncle. But Richard had been dead for 3 years. Or so everyone believed. I looked at the photograph. Richard was alive. And standing beside him was a little girl. Me. The photograph was dated 2 years after my father's supposed death. I stared. That can't be me. Daniel stepped closer. It is. How? He looked at the girl's wrist. She was wearing a bracelet, the same bracelet I had worn my entire life, the one my mother said my father had given me, except my father had died before the photograph was taken. I felt sick. Someone had been pretending to be me, a second girl, my twin, Eva. She had been living as me at some point, and I had been living as her. The identities had been switched. 22 years ago, I wasn't Nora Bennett, not originally. My entire childhood had been built on a lie, and someone had spent 22 years making sure I never discovered it. Then the mansion exploded, glass shattered, fire filled the hallway. Adrian grabbed me. Run! We sprinted through the smoke. Daniel pulled Eva toward the exit. The entire east wing collapsed. We barely escaped. Outside, I turned. The house was burning. Then I saw someone standing across the street, a woman. She looked like me, same face, same eyes, same scar. She smiled, then disappeared into the darkness. I knew who she was, my twin, the real Nora, or the woman who had been living under my name. Adrian stood beside me. Did you see her? Yes. Who was she? I whispered. My sister. The next morning, every news channel reported the Cross Estate fire. They called it an accident. It wasn't. The same person who had manipulated our lives was still free. And now she knew we were close. We stopped trusting everyone. We changed phones, changed locations, changed security teams. Even the lawyers were replaced. Then Adrian did something I never expected. He transferred half his personal fortune into an account under my name. I stared at him. Why? Because if they come for you, they can't take everything. You're giving me billions. No. Then what? I'm giving you a way out. I smiled. You're terrible at romantic gestures. I know, I like it. He looked at me. So do I. The investigation continued. We found bank records, private flights, secret properties, offshore accounts. Every trail eventually led to one corporation, Blackthorn Holdings. It had no public owner, but its payments appeared everywhere. To the hospital, to the lawyers, to the security company, to the people who had erased my records. And Blackthorn had one director, Nora Bennett, my name. I stared at the screen. No, Adrian shook his head. Someone has been using your identity for 22 years. Then we found the location of the director. A private island. We flew there. The house was empty, except for one room. Inside were hundreds of photographs. My childhood, Adrian's childhood. Daniel, Ava, my mother, his mother, everyone. Someone had been watching us, our entire lives. Then a video began playing. A woman appeared. My face, my voice, my smile, but older, calmer. She looked directly into the camera. Hello, Nora, I froze. I know you're wondering who I am, she smiled. I'm the person who was supposed to become you. I stepped closer. She continued. Our parents made a mistake. What mistake? They thought they could control 4 children. She laughed. They were wrong. She revealed the truth. There had never been 3 heirs. There had been 4, 2 sets of twins, Adrian and Daniel, me and Eva, but the children had been switched. Not once. Twice. Every family member had been lying. Every identity had been manufactured. Every inheritance had been built around the wrong people. And the person behind it all wasn't Richard. Wasn't Jonathan. Wasn't my mother. It was the woman on the screen. My twin. She had orchestrated the entire war. She had manipulated the contract marriage. She had leaked the photographs. She had arranged my mother's disappearance. She had forged the DNA reports. She had even arranged the attack on the estate. That wasn't money, it was control. She wanted all 4 inheritance trusts, and the only way to unlock them was to make every heir legally connected. My marriage to Adrian had been the final key. I looked at him, he looked at me. The contract marriage wasn't fake anymore, it was the mechanism that would unlock $24 billion. And whoever controlled me controlled the empire. The woman on the screen smiled. You have 7 days. The video ended. A timer appeared. 7 days, 6 days, 23 hours. We had entered the final stretch, but we still didn't know where she was, until Adrian received a package. Inside was a wedding invitation. Our names. Our original wedding date, 22 years ago. The venue was the Old Cross Estate. The date was tomorrow. I stared at it. She wants us there. Adrian nodded. It's a trap, I know. Then we don't go. I looked at him. We have to. Why? Because she's been controlling our lives from the shadows. I picked up the invitation. It's time she sees us coming. We arrived at the estate at midnight. The building had been rebuilt after the fire. Every light was on. The doors opened automatically. Inside were hundreds of candles. At the end of the ballroom stood the woman from the video, my twin. She smiled. Welcome home. I stared at her. What is your name? She laughed. You still don't remember? No. She stepped closer. My name is Nora. I shook my name is Nora. She smiled. Exactly. Adrian stepped forward. Which one of you is real? She looked at him. That depends on who owns the trust. She held up a document. Tonight we find out. The doors slammed shut. Guards appeared. Daniel and Eva were dragged into the room. My mother was there too, alive. Jonathan was there. Richard was there. Even Helena appeared on a screen. Everyone we thought was dead. Everyone we thought was gone. Everyone had been part of the game. My twin looked at me. You wanted answers? Yes. Then watch. She pressed a button. Wall opened. Behind it was a vault. Inside were 4 boxes. 1 for each heir. She smiled. 22 years ago our father divided the fortune. She opened the first box. Each box requires a different key. She opened the second, blood. Third, marriage. Fourth, death. I stared. What does that mean? She smiled. 1 heir must die. Adrian stepped forward. No. She looked at him. Guess who? The lights went out. A gunshot echoed. Someone screamed. When the lights returned, Adrian was on the floor. Blood covered his shirt. I screamed his name. My twin smiled. Now you understand. I ran toward him. Then he grabbed my wrist. Don't. I froze. His eyes were open. The blood wasn't his. It belonged to the man standing behind him. Richard. He had been shot. Richard collapsed. My twin stared. What? Adrian stood. The bulletproof vest. He smiled. You should have done your homework. The room exploded into chaos. Daniel attacked the guards. Eva grabbed the keys. My mother ran toward me. Jonathan pulled a gun. Police stormed through the doors. The entire conspiracy began collapsing, but my twin escaped. She disappeared through a hidden passage. I chased her, down the stairs, through the basement, into the vault. She was waiting. You really think you've won? I stopped. No. She smiled. Good. She pointed a gun at me. You don't know the last secret. What? She laughed. You weren't switched with Ava. My heart stopped. Then who am I? She lowered the gun. You're the firstborn. What? You were never the spare. She stepped closer. You were the heir, the entire company. All the trusts, everything. Why didn't I know? Because your mother hid you. Why? To keep you alive. I stared. And you? I was raised to replace. By whom? She smiled. By your father. The truth hit harder than any bullet. My father had created her. Raised her, trained her. Turned her into my replacement. He hadn't been protecting me. He had been preparing another version of me. My twin looked at me. I hated you for years. Why? Because he loved you. She pointed the gun. But now I understand. She lowered it. You don't want the empire. No. You don't want revenge. No. You don't want the money. No. She smiled. That's why you were always more dangerous than me. She dropped the gun. Police rushed in. She didn't. Gee, I stared at her. Gee, you're surrendering. Yes. Why? Because I finally know why he chose you. The final conspiracy was exposed. My father had created the system. The Cross family had fought over it. My mother had hidden me. Jonathan had manipulated the heirs. Richard had stolen the assets. Eva had tried to reclaim her identity. Daniel had survived, and my twin had become the weapon everyone feared. But the final decision was mine. I stood before the 4 inheritance boxes. $24 billion. An empire, a legacy, a weapon. I could take it. I could destroy everyone who had hurt me. I could become the person they had spent 22 years preparing me to become. Instead, I opened the 4th box. Inside was a letter from my father. Nora, if you have reached this point, you have already learned enough to hate me. You should. I built this empire because I believed money could protect my children. It couldn't. I turned my children against one another. I lied. I manipulated. I created identities. I destroyed lives. And eventually, I created the very person who would destroy everything I built you, not because you are my heir, because you are the only one who can choose not to become me. I folded the letter. Then I looked at Adrian. He was standing across the room. Still alive, still looking at me. I smiled. I know what I'm doing. He nodded. What? I took the inheritance documents and tore them in half. Everyone froze. The lawyers screamed. The family stared. My twin laughed softly. You actually did it, yes. You destroyed $24 billion. No, I smiled. I destroyed the thing everyone was willing to kill for. The trust dissolved, the hidden companies were sold. The illegal accounts were seized, the stolen assets were returned, the remaining legitimate money was placed into foundations under independent control. No heir controlled the empire, no family member could use it as leverage again. My father was exposed, the Cross family's secrets became public. Jonathan was arrested, Richard survived long enough to testify, my mother was cleared of the worst charges, though she admitted to years of deception. Eva walked away from the family. Daniel disappeared from public life. My twin accepted a prison sentence. And Adrian? He gave up the CEO position. When I asked why, he shrugged. I spent my whole life trying to inherit something I never wanted. What do you want? He looked at me. You. I smiled. That wasn't in the contract. No. Good. We left New York together, not as billionaire heirs, not as the Cross family's golden couple, not as 2 people trapped by a 90-day agreement. Just Adrian and Nora, 2 people who had entered a contract for money and somehow survived a war over $24 billion. 3 months later, I received one final envelope, no return address. Inside was a photograph, my father, my mother, the 4 children, and behind them stood another person. Someone I didn't recognize. On the back were 7 words, alone. I stared at the photograph. Adrian walked into the room. What is it? I handed it to him. He studied it. Do you know him? No, neither do I. We looked at each other. Then I laughed. Please tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. He smiled. I was hoping we'd get a normal life. So was I. He took my hand. Maybe we can. I looked at the photograph again, then at the envelope. Then I threw both into the fireplace. The paper curled. The photograph burned. The last secret disappeared into the flames, and for once I didn't chase it. Because I had spent my entire life being told what I was supposed to inherit, what I was supposed to become, who I was supposed to love, who I was supposed to hate, and finally I understood the real point of the contract. It had never been about 30 days, it had never been about $1 million. It had never even been about the $24 billion empire. It was about whether two people could walk into a marriage built on lies and choose something real. Adrian looked at me. So, Mrs. Cross? Yes. Would you marry me again? I smiled. Without a contract? Without a contract? Without money? Yes. Without your family's empire? Definitely, I pretended to think. Then I have one condition. What? You do the dishes, he laughed. That wasn't in the agreement, it is now. He took my hand. Deal. And this time, when we said yes, nobody was watching. No lawyers, no cameras, no billion-dollar trust, no family, no hidden clause, just us. And for the first time in my life, that was enough.